Okay, class, good morning. I'm glad to see you here, and I hope this will be the start of a very, very, very good, rewarding, enriching, engrossing, and hopefully eventually, if we can make it lucrative, writing career. Here in this first day of class, I hope you noticed, or possibly noticed, if you're coming up late up the expressway or the loop there, the long line of cars, the brake lights breaking as people were headed off toward their different endeavors. That is a lot of what I want to talk to you about right now here real quickly. Right now, just to get started, I want to hit you up with something you need to start thinking about and formulating right now. It's very important to your writing and communications careers. It's called transition or continuity or flow. Whatever you want to call it. You've probably got continuity from English teachers, flow back during elementary school. Now we're going to give you the word transition. If you haven't had that already, it's very, very, very important. It is what keeps people going. I like to call it taking them with the short hairs out of the nose or in the nose, pulling them down into the content and not letting them until they finish. Have you ever watched a movie that was 3 or 4 hours long, or read a story or book that looked really, 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 really long? It didn't turn out to be that way. It just zipped. It just took off. It just ran. That's what we're trying to get from you. We're trying to bring that out in you that you've already got somewhere and that will develop into a fast writer. Transition, continuity, going from point to point, paragraph to paragraph, sentence to sentence, words like and, therefore, so on. These things help. But what really makes it happen are when you understand and you incorporate those concepts of thought, of relationship, of continuity and flow and direction. And I've got some pictures that I've taken from different places around the world, and these photos should help you understand the basic, simple, physical, mental concept of transition, continuity, or flow. You as writers really need to grab this. It's going to make a huge difference for you. The sooner you get it, the sooner you can master writing, the sooner you can possibly somewhere eventually name your own ticket. We want to hear about that. This is from Gothenburg, Sweden. Obviously, it's an anti-gun statue, and if you were goofy enough to fire this gun, you would probably either kill yourself or blow your face off. The transition here from obviously gun to barrel is interrupted with a serious discontinuity. Discontinuity is more important in the spoken word, maybe broadcasting, online, design, but as far as the content goes, as far as just writing a story, writing your novel will make you a famous writer, we hope. Content, flow, continuity. You don't want to have your gun, so to speak, all tied up in knots. All kinds of links exist out there. You want to start finding links, relationships, transition, continuity, flow. The sooner you do that, you'll find more stories, you'll be a better journalist, you'll be a better writer, whatever medium you might find yourself in, and we don't know what's going to happen. You know, as newspapers start to close down now, it's time for you to also consider other sorts of medium. Be flexible. Be flexible. Please learn to be flexible. Be ready to adapt to anything. The sooner you can do that, the more you can make lots of good money out there. So, or at least just money. Never know. This is Medina Celi, Spain, not too far out of, several hours out of Madrid, actually. This is an old ancient Roman archway from the 2nd century. This is Medina Celi's link, transition to the rest of Spain, because this archway has been taken and used on highways and is a monument to, or basically the monument marker in Spain on highway maps and highways and road signs for ancient ruins. And they're all over Rome, all over the Roman ruins and all sorts of ruins, a lot of Roman ruins are all around Spain. There's a lot to see there. This, of course, is obviously Medina Celi's link to its ancient Roman past. And a lot of things happened here. There were battles, many things. Thor Heyerdahl was a famous archaeologist and author, writer, who did a lot of anthropological and archaeological studies. He has, or founded, when he was alive, of course, obviously, a museum in the city of Guimar. This is on the island of Tenerife, in the Canary Islands, not too far from Lanzarote, the island which I'll get to here shortly, time permits. This map features the currents of the Atlantic the Atlantic, these currents, which of course have helped the flow of humankind, or mankind, around the world. Of course, here we're talking about the world between Europe, Africa, and the Americas. And Mr. Heyerdahl, who in fact sailed once or twice on some very small, reeky little water papyrus boats, noted about these currents, which could have easily helped move humankind around before recorded history. There's a lot to study and understand about these lineages and things in us, in humans. Much to learn. Many stories to write. Baalbek, Lebanon. This is an ancient Roman site. Possibly, I was hearing that this was the largest Roman site outside of Rome itself. This was basically the supply and spiritual headquarters of the Roman Empire as it transitioned from the regular Mediterranean Roman Empire over toward the Middle East into Mesopotamia. This is an old Roman column, of course, obviously Roman columns. But notice these columns, they are parts. They are not all one straight piece of something there. They've been put back together after earthquakes, and they have parts shipped out of them. So even in their transition, there are stories, of course, around these earthquakes and these transitions. There are stories within stories, and these transitions, which help put it all together, help make these stories actually happen. And they will make your stories happen for you. And for the reader, too, most importantly. Still in Lebanon, this is Byblos, where if you want to talk about continuity, lineage, and stories, they'll never, ever, ever, ever write all the stories that you could write out of Byblos. 17 civilizations have had fortresses, palaces, encampments, or something on this little islet north of Beirut since back before they recorded, before recorded time, before history, before things were written down. This goes way back beyond the Canaanites and way back there, well beyond the Romans. But there's again modern and ancient transition. See transition. Learn to see and spot lines, stories, relationships. These will help write your stories and help put it all together. Here are some railroad tracks and a very smooth paved surface between these various ruins here leading out to the Mediterranean there. You see the Mediterranean just beyond the rocks there. And these tracks were actually not really for a railroad, but more so for the little cars they were using to move some of the rubble out that they were shifting through to find artifacts and so forth, led by a French archaeologist between the wars. And they're still there. They're part of the monument and an important part of the story of Byblos. There's some very good guides there if you ever get to that part of the world, and hopefully things will be better so you can get to places like Byblos sometime in the near future. We'll get just one more here before we take a little break. Lanzarote in the Canary Islands, a volcanic island, very, very hot ground. It's still active. It's not a dead island in volcanic terms at all. Here I am playing tourist, one of the camel riding tourists here in a long line, the transitions of tourists bumping along through this desert-like island, not too far from the Moroccan coast, on camels who, of course, each are a story. They each have a story with there are two tourists on either side. Again, there's a line, a transition, it's going somewhere. These tourists will, of course, all go somewhere. Their photos will go everywhere. Their stories will go different places. There's much to relate to write about. The camels, you can go on and on. Learn to spot these things. Learn to see these things, and they're going to help make you a great, great, great journalist and writer. Thank you.